tank. So anytime you open a propane bottle, always open the valve slowly and all the way to ensure you don't trip the excess flow valve that's built into all new propane valves. Right behind that is your battery. Simple 12-volt deep cycle RV battery with two leads going to it, red to positive, black to negative. It's a maintenance battery, so you will need to, a couple of times a year, remove these two caps and check the fluid level in the 6 cells beneath the caps. If it looks a little bit low, and especially if you can see black plates or metal plates sticking through the fluid, you'll want to top it up with some distilled water and put a good charge on the battery. Also recommend removing that battery for winter storage. Store it inside somewhere where it's not going to freeze. You've got stabilizing jacks on all 4 corners of the RV. So once you've got the RV parked in place and relatively level, you want to crank these down to be snug with the ground, but you don't ever want to actually lift the trailer with these. They're just for stability. So just nice and tight to the ground. Here at your running gear, your tires are inflated to 65 psi. It's stamped on the side of the trailer, 65 psi cold. And we do recommend running those right at 65 psi. Also recommend periodically retorquing your wheel nuts. They're torqued to 100 foot-pounds now, but even if you don't have a torque wrench, just torque them to be good and tight. And recommend repacking of your wheel bearings periodically as well. This one you can see has the Easy Lube axles, so if you pop this rubber cap out of here, you'll find a grease zerk that will allow you to grease your inner and outer wheel bearings with a grease gun. That doesn't eliminate the need though to repack wheel bearings, just prolongs the intervals. So instead of repacking wheel bearings every year, maybe with this one you can repack wheel bearings every 3 or 4 years, as long as you are occasionally giving them some fresh grease. Right here is where your 30 amp power cord attaches. The power cord is stored in the front storage compartment. And we also include the park adapter to break that 30 amp service down to 15 amps so that you can plug into a normal household style power outlet. Right here is where you'll dump your holding tanks from. So we supply a new 20-foot medium heavy duty sewer hose. It's stored inside the rear bumper right now. When you go to dump your holding tanks, hook the sewer hose up right here. Other end goes into the ground, and you'll always want to dump the larger black valve first. This is your sewage holding tank. Once that's finished dumping, you can close this valve and open the smaller gray valve to use your gray water, your sink and shower water, to flush the contents through that hose so there's nothing left in the hose when you go to disconnect it. Your freshwater system is right above that, so you can fill your freshwater holding tank with a garden hose, or better yet, one of those white drinking water specific garden hoses. This just gravity fills right into the tank. Or you can hook up to pressurized city water, then you don't have to use your water pump and you don't have to worry about running out of water. If you are going to hook up to pressurized city water though, we recommend a water pressure regulator. Just a little brass fitting about that long, goes on the end of your hose and just maintains proper operating water pressure in the RV's water system. Right here is your hot water tank. This is a Suburban, this one is just a gas powered hot water tank. So you've got 2 black reset buttons on the outside here. These are your energy cutoffs. So if you ever overheat the tank, most likely because it was started up with no water in it, you'll trip these cutoffs. And you'll have to come out here and press these buttons in order to start the tank up again. You can also drain the tank from here by removing this plug at the bottom. It's a 1 1/16 inch socket to remove it, and on the end of the plug is a rod about this long. It's called an anode rod, and it will corrode over time to help preserve the inside lining of the tank. Make sure before you pull this out that you release release the pressure from the tank using the pressure relief valve. That way you won't get a shower when you pull this out. And this anode rod will need to be replaced periodically. Depending on the quality of the water, it's usually every 3 to 5 years. But that anode rod can get to be quite pitted and corroded looking before it actually needs to be replaced. On the back of the trailer is where you've got your spare tire. It's important to note that the trailer doesn't come with a jack or a wheel wrench. So make sure that you have a wrench with you that fits the lug nuts on the trailer, just in case you ever do need to change a tire on the fly. Your awning is height adjustable and power controlled from just inside the trailer. So I'll show you how to do that. But first, to put down the solid step entry step, just pull the handle to release it, and it folds down to make contact with the ground. The legs are height adjustable. If you're on a very unlevel piece of ground, you can adjust the height of the legs. And just inside the entry door here is where you'll find that awning switch. So if you press and hold the out button, the awning extends a full 8 feet. It's just at exactly the right level of wind now. Any windier than this, and you might consider just bringing your awning in. They are quite robust. They can flap around quite a bit without causing any damage, but it's not good to leave them out in the wind. So any windier than this, and you want to bring that awning in. It's a height adjustable awning, so you can pull down on this arm here to drop one side down a little bit lower to control where the rainwater runs off. Before you put the awning back in, make sure you put it up to the full height, just to ensure that the fabric pulls up properly. We'll go ahead and bring that in as the wind is picking up. Also, with this awning, you'll want to ensure that the door isn't interfering with the awning before you go to extend the awning. Now, if you come on inside out of the wind, so right here inside the entry door is where you'll find the switch for your slide out as well. So if you press and hold the out button, the slide will extend. It extends 36 inches, and when it's reached its full extension, you'll hear a ratcheting sound. That means you can release your finger from the button. Just like so. Come on in and we'll close this door so that we don't get any more wind noise in this video. A couple of other things right near the entry door. The backlit blue switch is for your LED awning light. It's an LED light strip that runs the entire length of the awning. And your second switch here is for your main interior lighting. So over here at the kitchen, you've got a 2-burner propane stovetop, and I don't have a barbecue lighter with me, but if you turn it over to the high setting, push down on this knob and light the burner that way, then you can turn it up to temperature. Your fridge is an automatic gas electric fridge. So to turn it on, just press the on button, and you've got a few different modes for this fridge. Most commonly, leave it in A for automatic. What it did there was it checked for electricity, didn't find it, so it automatically lights the propane. If you had electricity available, it would always choose electricity, but you can override the automatic to only run on electricity or only run on propane, you might find the fridge cools a little faster on propane than it does electricity. Now, having said that, it still takes several hours to cool an RV fridge down completely. So we recommend you get the fridge cooling the day before you pack up. That way it's nice and cold when you put your food into the fridge. This one also has some temperature settings, 1 being the warmest, 5 being the coldest. I usually set it at 3 or 4, but you might find you need to adjust that depending on the ambient conditions. To shut off the fridge, press and hold the on button for 3 seconds. Down here near the floor is where you'll find your power converter. This is the power center for the entire trailer. So you'll find in here breakers protecting all of your 110 volt circuits and fuses protecting all of your 12 volt circuits. It's not a bad idea to have some spare fuses with you. It's not uncommon in an RV to blow a fuse. And you've got primarily 15 amp fuses here with a couple of 40 amps as well. So if you have some spares with you, it won't be a big deal if you ever need to change one at the campsite. The power converter can make a little bit of a humming or a buzzing sound when it's operating under heavy load. It's perfectly normal. It's just the cooling system of the converter. And over here you've got a couple more things. Your propane leak detector here. It's actually a combination propane carbon monoxide detector. So this will do 3 things. It will warn you if you have potentially a propane leak. If that were the case, though, you'd almost certainly smell the propane before the alarm kicked in. It could also alert you to a carbon monoxide situation, in which case you would not smell anything. And thirdly, and most common, it could be alerting you to a low voltage situation. The propane detector is wired right into the RV's 12 volt power system. So if your RV battery gets a little bit low, this will chime just to alert you to the low voltage. You can plug in the RV, plug it into the tow vehicle or to the electrical service to charge the battery, or you can put a battery charger on the battery itself. The power outlet right above this is a GFI power outlet. So just like the ones in your home with a test and reset button, the only difference in an RV is this is wired in series with several of the other power outlets in the RV as well. So if you're plugged into power and you can't figure out why you're not getting any power from your power outlets, come over here, press the reset button, and that'll reset the whole system. On the wall here beside me is the thermostat for the furnace. So it's a very simple operation. Just slide the slider up to whatever temperature you're comfortable at. Furnace fan comes on right away, but it's going to blow for 15-20 seconds before the burner itself lights up. And if we listen, you should be able to hear that when it ignites. Just like so. So now, given a few seconds, we'll have warm air blowing directly from the furnace. When you shut that off, or when it comes up to temperature, the burner goes out immediately, but the furnace itself is going to keep running. The fan is going to keep running for 30 seconds to a minute to go through its cycle. With this style of thermostat, you slide it all the way over to off. Make sure you hear an audible click, ensuring that the furnace is turned all the way off. Otherwise, all you've done is turn it down. And if the RV is in storage and it gets cold enough in the evening, it'll still be trying to come on, and it'll run your battery down and deplete your propane. Here in the bathroom is your monitor panel. So you can check the level of each of your holding tanks. Gray, completely empty. Black, completely empty. And fresh, completely empty. And this is also where you can check the level of your battery. Right now that's showing good, G for good. If it was currently under charge, then all 4 of those lights would be lit up. This is also where you can activate your water pump. If you're operating off of your freshwater reservoir, you'll have to have your water pump turned on, and your hot water tank to light the propane burner for the hot water tank here. So if I turn that on, the fault switch comes on, showing that the tank is not, or the burner is not operating. But just like the furnace, if we give that a second, we should hear it click as the burner lights up. Just like so. So now if we wait 20 to 25 minutes, we would have hot water from that hot water tank. With the RV's sewer system, anytime you're using the RV sewer system, you'll want to use a good potent RV toilet chemical. It comes in powder, liquid, or tablet form, and we've got all three. When you add new chemical to the tank, pour the chemical right into the toilet and push halfway down on the foot flush to fill the toilet bowl with water. Once the bowl is full of water and chemical, you can push the rest of the way down to dump everything down into the tank. It's important to note that that chemical does take some water to activate it. So every time you add chemical to the toilet, make sure you put some water down with it. You'll want to add new chemical immediately following every time you dump your black holding tanks. So when you finish dumping your holding tank, come into the trailer, add some chemical, and it should be good until the next time you need to dump your tanks. Here at your stereo system, it is a 12 volt system, so it works right off of your battery. It's AM, FM, Bluetooth, HDMI, USB, and auxiliary. So several different sources you can play through here. And you have a switch above it for your speaker zones. You've got your inside speakers, your outside speakers, or both. So just be conscious of that if you're inside listening to music, that you've only got your inside speakers playing. Air conditioning right here on the roof. You'll need to be plugged into 110 volt power to operate your air conditioner. Air conditioner, microwave, and power outlets. Those are the three things that you need to be plugged into power for. And to operate the air conditioner, really simple. Controls right here on the unit itself. You can cycle through low and high fan control, low and high cooling for the actual air conditioning, and just off. And then there is a thermostat control here to cycle the air conditioning on and off as needed as well. Right here is your smoke detector. So we saw the propane and carbon monoxide detector earlier. The smoke detector, important to note, is not wired into the RV's electrical system. It has its own 9 volt battery. So you'll want to check that periodically by pressing and holding the test button just to make sure that that battery hasn't gone dead. Here in your kitchen area, here we are, is where you've got your drawers. These can be easily removed and washed in the top rack of the dishwasher for easy cleaning, or can be taken out and set on the picnic table for convenience. And the access panel for your water pump is actually underneath here, and it's screwed down. But to access your hot water tank valves and your water pump, just remove the screws from here, and you can lift up this wood paneling to access the both your hot water tank, your fresh water tank, and your water pump. And I think for the most part that covers it. I hope you've learned something about the Sportsmen Classic 181BH. If you have any questions, you can always get a hold of us here at Trailblazer, or you can check our website, trailblazerrv.com. Thanks.